Here we go. It's your coach, Pauly C, back again, and I got a special guest today. So we're talking to Nichole Lavigne out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and Nichole is an OG. We go way back to the times of 2008 when Las Vegas was rearing in a economic recession and housing crisis. And I'm grateful for your time with Nichole, because Nichole's going to come and we're going to talk about her experience when in a market crash. Because we're with however deep this recession goes or whatever happens with the market conditions right now, and we're not going to get into a debate about that. When the market shifts, how do we shift so that we can not just survive but thrive through a shifting market? And what do we need to do in our market? And so, Nichole, welcome so much. Thank you for joining us.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for getting me out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, she's like, okay, what do I got to do? What do I got to wear? What's happening? Yeah. And so tell us, how long in the business, how many units in volume last year?
Well, correction, I started in April 2006.
Okay.
2008, yeah. So I started right at the beginning of the downturn. So right. I refer to that as never been spoiled. Yeah. And that means that would bring me to, and of course I was 21 at that time. So, very young still. Mm-hmm. And that brings me to a total of 14 years in the business this April, this month, actually. Wow. And I think we ended up closing about 51 last year, 52 transactions. I have a very small team here. I keep small intentionally. To provide a high level of service to my customers and, easily managed, but very efficient and effective.
So when you got started with 2006, you got what in spring of 2006 you started?
April 2006.
So 2008, I remember back in 2007, the fall of 2007, we knew we were in trouble. And I went full-time January 2008. That's when I went full-time, because I was licensed before. We were out of the same office working with Prudential in Las Vegas at the time before it turned into Berkshire Hathaway. But we knew, right? So you didn't really have too much time in a regular market, whatever that is. And so you had to get acclimated pretty quick. But before we go into like all the changes and how you adapted, tell us a little bit about what's going on for successful methods of lead generation right now. What are you focused on?
It's a great question. And what I'm seeing in the marketplace is there's definitely among agents a lot of fear and anxiety and just among the general public. So that's really normal. But really what we're doing right now and what I'm coaching people on is just go back to the basics. I mean, look, I know I'm doing a lot less appointments than what would normally happen because of the restrictions and confinement. Right. So don't have appointments, there's no reason that you shouldn't be prospecting 4, 5, 6 hours a day, depending on your production goal. I mean, you don't have anything else to do. So, basically starting with your past client center of influence, if you're nervous and anxietable, I mean, don't you think they are too? And they have a lot of questions about the market. Right. So easiest start is reaching out to them. First off, checking on their health, their family, their well-being, because we do care. And if it turns into a business conversation, excellent. I mean, usually the way I was trained was you always turn it into, but we really need to show some authenticness and be genuine right now and make sure that everybody's okay. Make sure your seniors don't need anything, things like that. And then, once you get back on the horse, it's back to it. FSBOs, expireds, just listed, just sold. Guess what, guys? Everybody's home. Yeah. They're answering.
Yeah, you were always big. So you and I, we always were. We were the expired FSBO crew, and we actually had we used to have prospecting parties.
Yeah.
Right, prospecting parties.
Yes.
And there was, I'll tell you, out of all the prospecting parties we had, there were people who would come in and out of them, but the people who were consistent, all of those people are successful now in real estate.
Highly successful.
Highly successful. So how much of your prospecting is expireds and FSBOs versus circle versus calling your database?
Great question. And I am wired to be a hunter. I love the chase and the game. So I always hit my prospecting of expireds and FSBOs and would be more likely to neglect the just listed, just sold and past client center of influence. But it is important to be hitting all lead sources now. And you're right, back in those days in our prospecting parties, I mean, we would pull a 50 contact day, 100 contact day. That's exactly the model that you should be going with now. And the important part, I think, of making sure that those prospecting parties weren't just because, we were stupid and young. It was the camaraderie. This is a game of repetitious boredom. So that camaraderie, I just started a West Coast Zoom prospecting group today, which I didn't used to like because I thought it was distracting, but now being so isolated, I really, camaraderie, that momentum, the laughs, the games, just trying to get it, break up the day helps.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with creating. Back when you and I were both being coached out of the ferry system once upon a time, like we were mastering repetitious boredom. He talks about that, and that so much of what I learned back then still is so much of what I incorporate, not just for myself but for the people that I coach and train. And mastering repetitious boredom, that always stuck with me. And in our prospecting parties, we did fun things like prospecting bingo. Right.
Yep.
It's so funny because we still do it. And karaoke. What was the
prospecting karaoke?
Prospecting karaoke.
You invented that one.
Yeah. Prospecting. Okay. Quick. How do you do prospecting karaoke?
Well, if I remember correctly, it originated because you would sing in between calls.
Not well.
And Mike goes, no, none of us are great singers. Yeah. And then it came down to break up the boredom. The game became, if a group of us were prospecting together, that if you could incorporate a line or a phrase from the song into your prospecting call. So, for example, Michael Jackson Thriller, if the call was like, well, I'd like to get together, and be like, well, that'd be great. Let's set an appointment. We'll make it a real thriller. Yeah.
Now it would get interesting when there was love songs, but we had a lot of fun with that, and that was all part of the creating energy and really, Nichole, creating a mindset and conditioning ourselves that what we were doing was not just a task and a duty and a responsibility, but something that we could actually create energy around and have some fun with.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It broke up the day, broke up the boredom, the negativity. I mean, listen, guys, you're getting on your calls right now, and you're hearing that people are sick and not well, and you're hearing about unemployment and job loss. And that's a lot of what we went through, those similar people around you. The sky is falling for some of them, and some of them are doing better than ever. They're making more money and more overtime, but you're getting both sides, and you have to really build yourself up and get excited about being ready to take on all of that energy, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah. And that's tough because especially when people are going through stress, anxiety, fear, apprehension, being that light and being that love, bringing that love, that can be difficult. And your tribe, with the people around you that you can have that synergy, and have that synergy with, because one of the reasons why I wanted to reach out to you, because first of all, I want to say thank you for busting my chops. Because you know what, Nichole, well, sometimes you'd say things and I'd be like, oh my God, will you just shut up or leave me alone? But your accountability around, hey, are you making your calls? What kind of call was that? Like, while you were busting my chops, that kind of drove me to go, you know what? Like, I got to take this seriously. Number one, because this whole situation's serious and I need to make some money.
Yeah.
And second, if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, like, this is it's just not going to work out. I'm going to be in trouble.
Yep.
So thank you.
It's all true. Thank you. We had a great time, and I know I'm kind of a ball buster, but we were very competitive, and I miss a lot of those days. A lot of people still try to recreate that energy and momentum we had in that office. It was good stuff.
So tell me, what would you do? What would you tell yourself going back in time? If you had to go back and tell yourself something, what would you go back and tell yourself, or what would you do? What would you have done differently?
Great question as well. I don't have a lot of regrets. I don't really believe in them. I believe, things happen in a certain order and for a certain reason that cause us to grow, good and bad. I think starting over from day one, I definitely, and we've talked about this before, would have taken a lot more care in maintaining a good database and CRM. And the technology today compared to 14 years ago is astronomical. Yeah. I mean, we had Outlook, I think. That was it.
Excel, I think maybe
maybe a spreadsheet or something, right? Might have been DOS based. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we did have Mojo. Mojo was brand new back then,
Yeah.
but it didn't do nearly the things that it does now.
No,
I mean,
now it leaves messages for you and sends email campaigns and does all of these things. Now, I'm not saying linger a lot of your time in that, but at a minimum, collect that data, keep it somewhere that's organized, and call it and delete people. Like, don't be a hoarder of names and people and leads. Like, know who's in there, make sure they're worthwhile to keep, and look at it every so often, and then decide, like, who's my A-list, who, deserves a holiday card, who deserves an email drip. Like, just have some sort of system.
Yeah, for sure. How about the fundamentals, right? I mean, people, especially the newbies, they're always looking for that, like that magic pill or that easy trick or something that sets them apart. I love when people ask me, they're like, so, what's going to set me apart? How about you do what you say you're going to do?
Yeah. I was on a call today, and I was on an expired call today. I can't remember, was it a FISBO? I don't remember. One or the other, doesn't matter. And he starts yelling at me, and he said, I don't know why you're calling me. You got your text. And I'm like, sir, I didn't text you. I'm an adult. I would call you about a business conversation. And he started laughing so hard because
that was today.
Yeah, that was today, this morning. And, the texting and the technology is amazing. And, you can slide dial the expired and the FISBOs, and that's great. And that may work some of the time. But the truth is, especially in these days where everybody's home, and this is a really strange environment we're in, they are appreciating that human connection.
I would agree with you. Yeah, I would agree with you. Yeah.
So and the database stuff, don't get tied up too much in the technology. Remember, those calls you're making today to that database, even though they may not be doing something right now, it means a lot to them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because you could be sending an email to your database every day and make no calls versus only make calls and never send them an email. And you're going to get way more business just because you're making the calls.
Yeah, there was a lot of people we helped in 2006, 2007, 2008 through probably the worst time in their life. And that human connection that we made has made them clients for life. They'll never forget being there for them when something terrible like this happens.
Absolutely. How about skill set and mindset development at the beginning of your career, and what that looked like on how 2006 through 2008, like what did that look like, and what were the most important things on skill set and mindset development? What did that look like specifically, and how did you do it?
Yeah. Well, when we started, we were very fortunate to be in an office where we had a morning role play group. And sometimes our coach, which we couldn't stand, would force us to run it. Not that we couldn't stand him. We loved him, but we would hate it when he'd be like, and you're running role play next week.
Who's that? It wasn't Carlos.
No, JJ.
Oh, JJ. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, Carlos is going to be out of town next week and you're running role play. And you're like, oh God.
Yeah.
But guess what? It forced us to be there, be a leader in the office, be on point with our own skills and be accountable. So all the stuff that we can't stand as agents, right? Yeah. So there's no magic answer to this. Everybody wants me to say something different, but it's practicing every day. I have agents reaching out to me right now that want to do Zoom listing presentations. Hey, that's cool. Whatever it works. But old school, and again, we have a lot more time on our hands. If you're role playing twice a day, once in the morning, once lunchtime, once afternoon, whatever works for your schedule. And I know a lot of people have different situations with kids at home or whatever, but do what works for you. Yeah. But just you can't not practice or not go on a listing presentation for weeks at a time and expect that you're going to be fine. You're not.
Yeah. Well, I always say we get paid by what we say and how often we say it. How often is how often are we engaging the conversations, right? But what's the quality of your conversations? Because we get paid by what's happening here. But now you could tell people to do what, people hear common things as far as what you're supposed to be doing and skill set development and call your database. But especially in a time when things are shifting and there may be more anxiety or fear or doubt or whatever it is, that's negativity that's kind of clouding the market and clouding the economy. Like, what about mindset development? I mean, you just wake up every morning, you're like, okay, I'm going to go get this. Like, how do you replenish or recharge the batteries on mindset so that you can engage the technical things that you're supposed to be doing?
Definitely is not natural and not normal.
Yeah.
to say that I haven't had a few days or even a week at a time where I've frozen since this happened, for sure. We all do. We're human beings. We're not robots or machines. So first off, be realistic about expectations. If you have little babies at home that need homeschooling, your schedule's going to change. Okay. But I think most important on protecting your mindset, turn off the news. Okay. It's garbage. It is. Like, I've put myself on a regimen schedule. I check one website that's verifiable every day, like not whatever station you listen to. One website I check every day in the evening, and I look at what the stats are, because it is important for me to know in my market how many cases there are, how many, I hate to say it, but how many fatalities there have been. Because when I'm speaking to clients in New York or LA, they're losing their mind because it's very different there. Here we've only had at this point maybe 1,500 cases in Las Vegas. So it's not as devastating as some other places, but it's a lot more devastating than other places in the Midwest. Yeah. And if I'm having those conversations, I need to know that. But that's the limit of my exposure to the virus, other than like when the government updates our state. So I know, what our restrictions and limitations are, business and for my family. Yeah. So shut off the news, shut off the social media. If there's people on there that are spewing nonsense, please block them. I mean, why would you welcome or need that in your life? There's enough going on. And then just stay focused on surrounding yourself with incredible, positive people with like-minded goals. I have some agents outside and inside of my market that I used to converse with regularly, and they're just all the time. Had to shut it down. I love them. I care about them, but I just can't hear that mess right now when I'm staying focused on my goals. Yeah. And lastly, just filling yourself with positive things. This morning I was listening to Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blunt. I mean, there's so many amazing books. I'm sure you could have a website, a recommendation of a book club, but listen to it an hour a day. Yeah. Take regular mindset breaks. Are you ready for this one? I bought a badminton set this week. Because, well, that's my house.
Well, so your house now. Your house is your office.
Yeah. So I've decided to set it up in my backyard so that my daughter can take 10-minute badminton breaks.
You know what? Not a bad idea, actually. Yeah.
You're welcome, America.
Okay. All right. All right. I just had a flashback right now, right? Like we're prospecting, and then all of a sudden I hear, woo, woo. It's Nichole pushing another agent on a chair with wheels, zooming through the office.
Yeah.
And you guys, you would have like these races on the chairs.
Yeah, we got in a lot of trouble from that one. I've got it on video too. I'll send it to you.
But well, okay, so all that's in line with like, hey, how about you take a break and like replenish and refresh some energy by just having a little fun, even if it's something silly or something silly. Like
I watch comedy on YouTube for 5 or 10 minutes at a time. Have some fun. Take a break. This is serious business that we're doing, and we need to do it. There's a reason we're essential. But your mind can only handle so much at a time. So take those regular breaks. My coach is telling me about every hour. Sometimes I just walk to the mailbox or take the trash can out, get out, move around. Things are different now working from home. Whatever it is that works for you, but take that few minutes of peace, whether it's meditation or whatever, and replenish your brain and put something great into it.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really, really good. So I'm going to segue over to then a question that's in alignment with that is, what do you think the most rewarding piece of all of this journey? Because what we do a lot, especially new agents, they don't realize, they don't teach you this in real estate school, right? Like we're problem solvers, and the people who can solve the most and the biggest problems, those are the people who get paid the most. And so that's tough. It's tough here. It's tough here. It's emotionally. I remember in 2008, 9, and 10, like, man, I'd cry sometimes walking out of the building going, my gosh, this is very, very difficult. And so what was the most rewarding thing, and how did you grow the most with those times in 2008, 9, and 10 when it was just total devastation in Vegas? I mean, everybody's losing their houses. You see elderly people who are just totally out on a limb and they've lost everything, literally everything.
Yep.
What was the most rewarding?
Their kids. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember. And listen, we are not going back to that bad. But here's the truth of the matter. We're in real estate. Okay. And when do people move? When they're having a baby, when somebody passes away, when they get married, they have a divorce, they're big life events, right? So the long-term effects of this, everybody keeps joking around, is there's going to be a baby boom. Well, guess what? There's probably going to be a divorce boom too. And there's unfortunately people being passing away, whether it's normal from natural causes or it's from this terrible illness. So we have to be prepared mentally that these situations are going to come up. We were dealing with them anyway, but we may get a higher volume. People are going to lose their jobs. They're going to need to relocate because of restructuring of major corporations. Like in my market, the casino's being closed down for 2 months. Do you think they're restructuring internal systems? Yeah, things aren't going to look the same, and maybe not everybody's going to have the same job or the same positions they did before. We have to mentally and emotionally prepare ourselves for those changes. And like you said, be the solution, okay? Be courageous and brave enough to tell them the truth about what needs to be done to get them in a better financial position than they are now. And there's a lot of varying scenarios, but those are all the scenarios that are going to come up over the next 9 to 12 months. And we need to be prepared for that. Don't be afraid to be honest. Price their homes to sell. Don't lie about the price. And just do the right thing, and that will come back to you.
Yeah. And that in itself replenishes you and recharges you to know that you're doing the right thing and that you're helping people the right way. You're consulting, you're having conversations, and you're servicing people in that manner. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they need.
Yeah. So with what's going on right now with COVID, as far as adjustments in your business that you're making, I mean, there's a lot of conversations as far as how business has changed. What recommendations would you make right now to agents who are newer, or who agents who haven't obtained a super high level of success to be able to persevere and ultimately survive what's going on right now?
That's another amazing question. As a great coach, my coaches are saying a couple different adjustments. We used to say, look, you have a lead and it has a shelf life, and all leads still do. That shelf life right now is a little bit longer. Okay. So some people, for whatever reason, maybe they're seniors and they're elderly. This is not a good time for them to be out and about moving. Okay. Or having strangers in their house. That's not an objection. It's a condition. It's a reality for them, or if they have a compromised immune system. So they're going to go, have a system, put them in a certain file and be checking on them regularly, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever you've asked them for permission and agreed to stay with them. Because when this thing turns, it's going to turn fast, and you want to be there and ready and organized to present to them and get them on their way, because they're going to be anxious. They're sitting on the fence, and they don't want to. They have to be for their own protection. So I've made that adjustment and how you get there and determining if it's a real objection or condition is being insightful, being genuine, as I mentioned, and asking a lot of questions. Don't settle for their story of like, well, I'm waiting until this virus is over. Okay, call you in a month. Click. No. Keep that conversation going. Tell me, I can appreciate that. It's a strange time, isn't it? So tell me more about that. What's going to happen? What are your specific concerns with the virus? Is someone in their family affected? Do they have a compromise? Have they lost their job? What exactly does that mean? I'm concerned about the virus. And get a little bit deeper so that you can really understand what's going on and if there's a real objection or that they're just making a story. I remember you did that. When I would prospect around with you, you didn't do that. You still do that, I'm sure, really, really well. Like, you really probed and explored, and you were really, really good when I was prospecting with you around staying in the conversation. So I'm always coaching around stay in the conversation, ask it, forget about closing. How about stay in the conversation and figure out what's going on? Because if you have enough good conversation and you stay committed to the process. So Robbie Sneakers, I don't remember Robbie Sneakers. Everybody's got a nickname on my team, right? So stay committed to the process. And when you stay in the conversation, then closing is going to be easy. Easy. And that's where you're building your rapport. You're not another, sloppy salesperson calling them trying to make a sale. You care. They can tell the difference when you genuinely care and you're listening. And that's the other important part. It's just listen. Stop talking. Ask the question, an open-ended question, and listen. And then ask more questions.
Nice.
And so you just can't get any deeper. And you'll know if there's a real story or objection, or if it's a real situation or condition. And you'll know by asking those questions exactly when to follow up.
Awesome. That's good stuff. That's good stuff, man. I feel really blessed that we had that little unit there for a while, and we had, I see different brokerages and agents across different east states and cities, having been exposed to people from all over the country, and we had a little something special there with the people that were around us, and having JJ, John Joseph. Big props to John Joseph. We're so blessed to have him as a coach and as a mentor.
Coach. We call it magic. We said we had magic there. We haven't been able to recreate the magic. I mean, we do in small amounts, but it was a great energy, and it can be recreated.
It can, and it takes one person, because John really was the catalyst of that, and he created that, and then that compounded, and that was a synergy amongst us. Because I'll tell you, I mean, I wasn't you, someone else I was telling from Vegas. I'm like, hey, I just took what John did and just recreated it, and I'm just trying to do what he did.
Yeah, John Joseph, if you're watching this, you created and gave birth to a lot of great leaders. Congratulations.
Man, he was awesome. So that's a calling for us, right? As far as who we need to be, because there's people with eyeballs on us, whether they're clients or agents, to be able to bring the love, to bring the light, to bring the service, so that the world's just a little bit better place. I know that's so existential, right? But like,
yeah, I feel like getting a harp out or something right now.
All right. Any final thoughts, or any final?
No, it's great to catch up. I hope this video helps a lot of people. Certainly, if any of your customers have any needs in Las Vegas, my team would be happy to service them. I'm sure he'll put some links or whatever magic Pauly does to
for sure
link it all together.
Yeah, for whether it's clients or other agents, for referrals for Nichole in Las Vegas, seasoned veteran who absolutely can service on the sell side or the buy side, and I would absolutely be completely comfortable putting somebody in your hands, because you are a true seasoned professional, Nichole. Thank you so much for everything that we're able to experience together, and I'm super grateful for you.
Thank you. I appreciate you getting me out of my comfort zone and dressed today. No, I'm kidding. And doing this call. I hope it helps a lot of people that you coach.
Awesome. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. Take care.